I'm Gordon Mikell with NRCS. I'm an agronomist here in South Carolina, and I'm here today with Nathan Lowder.
Yeah, and I'm Nathan Lowder, and I work with the NRCS Soil Health Division.
We're here today as a part of the soil health follow-up to our conference we had at Clemson as part of a SARE grant, and we were going to have bus tours, but unfortunately we had to reschedule those due to COVID. So today we're here at Jason Carter's farm in Eastover, South Carolina. Jason has a history of cover crops and has been an advocate for soil health for 6 or 7 years now. And for that, we brought in Nathan Lowder here with the Soil Health Division to help us go through this worksheet. And so with that, Nathan, I guess first of all, who designed and developed this worksheet?
Thanks, Gordon. And as far as the Cropland Infield Soil Health Assessment Guide, it was actually developed by the Soil Health Division. Staff members on that team developed that to give conservation planners an opportunity or a tool to address and identify resource concerns.
And what does it look like exactly?
So everything has been outlined in a recently released Tech Note, Soil Health Tech Note 450-06, and it's a pretty in-depth document that gives a lot of specific information to identify the 11 indicators that we would be looking for in the field in completing the assessment.
So with that, that's a paper copy?
Yeah, this is a paper copy, of course, and while this seems to be a lengthy document of 24 pages, the actual assessment is only a couple pages of this. More of this document is to give an individual guidance on how to walk through this specific document.
And so is there an app also that goes with this?
I'm glad you asked that. There's actually an app that has been developed by ARS, USDA-NRCS, that is called Land PKS, and it can basically, the development of that app includes all of the assessment criteria that are outlined within this tech note. Some other tools, online tools that could be utilized there are now fillable versions of this, so if a planning staff or extension staff was to complete that in the field, they could have that on their iPad or some other electronic device to where they could complete that electronically if they didn't have paper copies. So
the extension service or another partner of ours could go on their smartphone or whatever and fill this information out?
Absolutely.
So what's the primary purpose of the worksheet, and I guess follow up with that, what's some of the things that this would not be used for?
Okay, so the primary focus or intent of the Soil Health Tech Note is to help planning staff identify if there are resource concerns within a given conservation management unit or a field or whichever planning block that they're working on. In the field, they can use this tool to identify by looking at the 11 criteria to identify different indicators that may meet or not meet criteria that is specified. Once you have worked through all of those indicators, then you can follow a decision tree that helps you identify whether or not there is a resource concern based off of the answers from those indicators that were completed in the field.
So it's not going to give you a number or a yes or a no, it's going to be more of a comparison.
Correct. It's actually going to only identify if there are resource concerns. Now you could take this with some adaptation, you could take this and use it to benchmark a site and then come back to that same site and then recomplete the assessment with similar times, similar crops, and then complete the assessment again to see if there have been changes. But yeah, you are correct that there's not a numerical value that is associated with the assessment.
So, and is there a certain time of year that you need to do this, or the field conditions, or is that important, or is it you can do it kind of anytime, or how does that work? So
that's great that you bring that up, because the assessment is actually broken down and it actually gives some indicators and timing table and use. And there are some of these indicators that can be looked at anytime. There are also other indicators that may want you to look at after a rainfall event or irrigation event. Others may include looking at these conditions or indicators if the soil has adequate moisture. Others could be before a tillage event. Others could be for primarily no-till systems. Also, there are other timings that could be looked at before the growing season, during the growing season, and also with some information that was gathered from an interview with the producer.
So if you only had one chance to visit a farm to do the assessment, you could pretty much do it any time of year, but you may have to take into consideration other factors that may not be present while you're there at that given time.
Absolutely, because there's nothing to say that we have to look at all of these indicators while we're in the field. Some of these indicators may not be supported by that management, or maybe even the soil type or geographic location, but there would be enough indicators that you could look at to still assess whether or not you have a resource concern.
Gotcha. And I guess as you know, state specialists, extension agents, other consultants use this worksheet, what feedback, if any, would the National Soil Health Division want to see from those folks?
So I would think that any and all feedback that we can get back from any of the field staff or partners that are using this would help us make this tool better. And we can always make improvements to this tool to where we can be better suited to provide a very useful tool to the planning staff or those conservation planners.
And I guess is this tool too, is depending on the region that you're in, this is a nationally developed tool, correct?
Yep, there is, this was nationally developed. There is some guidance already contained within the document that says if you're in specific areas that you would take special considerations. However, another thing that could be looked at would be if state specialists like yourself could see that a minor indicator would need to be tweaked for your area or certain cropping system, and that could be done to reflect that.